I'm Warwick and welcome back to the Principles of Training. In the previous episode we looked at the training of an Oldenburg eventing mare that I had, and we looked at the human principle of work with the horse you have today. More specifically, we looked at it in the context of when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. The other principle I want to look at in this episode is the application of your aids. Now, we all know when training our horses that we are very thoughtful about how we apply pressure and when we release it, and that we release the pressure when the horse finds the answer we're looking for. That's the horse's reward. They seek the release of pressure. They don't learn from pressure, they learn from the release of pressure. But sometimes when we're not thinking about it, we can inadvertently release pressure at the wrong time and teach the horse the wrong thing, and we'd swear we weren't teaching it to him because we weren't trying to release the pressure, it was just happening. But your horse does not look at the release of pressure as something that only happens when you're thinking about it. They are aware of that all the time. And if you think about this Oldenburg mare when she first came, and the first day Nicole rode her up along the fence towards the camera, if you think about it, there was pressure there was contact in that horse's mouth, and probably on both legs as well. As she approached the scary place, there was contact, there was still contact, and right as she kind of wheels and goes to leave for a split second, right there is a release of contact, and then she gets pulled back around and pointed towards the scary thing, where the contact gets picked up on either both reins or a left rein, then a right rein, then a left rein, and both legs. And so if you were to think about that, that would be the perfect way to teach a horse to spook at things if that happened every time. And so that mare is very good at realizing where that pressure goes away. So what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to explore, maybe exploit that that thing that mare does, and how she's really good at realizing that moment when the pressure goes away. We're going to use that to help us with some of her issues. So before we look into that, let's think about our last episode and how well we've taught that mare to look for answers. If you remember when Nicole came to ride her for the first time, that those ground poles and stuff were out in the arena, the mare was worried about those ground poles. But it didn't take very long for us to get the mare to figure out that was the resting place. We're capitalizing on the fact that she's an energy conserver. Some people might call it lazy. Let's just call it an energy conserver. And so the day after that, when I got on her, I hopped on her and asked her to walk, and she walked a circle, she walked around near the gate. So I picked up the trot. She trotted around a couple of circles, and so she went back to the gate. So I picked up the canter, and as soon as she picked up the canter, this is what happened. I can do that 10 seconds into the ride. Now, I haven't warmed her up, but she's been turned loose out here in the arena this morning. Now remember, the last time Nicole came and rode, she didn't want to go down near these things. Okay, how long did it take us to get her to come down here when Nicole rode her? I know, it was quite a while. But she was initially very skeptical of this stuff. And like I was just saying, now it's getting to where I can go through the process that was less than a minute, I think. Okay, that was quite a process in teaching it. First we had to teach her to look for answers when she was attracted to the gate. That was initially, okay? Once we got that sorted and she was good all over the arena, then we added these jump things in here, and then we had to teach. Now she knew the gate wasn't the answer, but she wasn't looking to be over here because she didn't like him. She didn't like what happens around these things. And so that was a bit of a process too. And now I can hop on, and a minute later, we're good. So you can see how smart that mare is at finding the place where she gets to rest. So I thought I would use those problem-solving skills that I've now taught her to help get her over the scariest thing for her, in my arena at least, which is the banners on the far side of the arena. She was not very good about the banners. So that's when I thought, well, I'll start using the tools I've got on her to help her with the banners. And I'd had her by about 4.5 weeks by this point in time, so it's a slow process, but you'll see how quickly it can progress if you can get your foundation really good. Now she's heading off over here. I'm going to let her rest here for a second. So I think today what I want to do is I want to work on because she's got to where she's kind of attracted to those things right there because it's the resting spot. So I think today I want to start to actually work on this banner. And today is a Thursday. She got here on a Friday, so today today's not a Thursday, today's Wednesday. She got here on a Friday. It might be 2 days short of 3 weeks. So it might be 18 or 19 days she's been here, and I still haven't tried to ask her to go anywhere near something she doesn't want to go to. Okay, I've been building up trust with her. Today, and I'm not actually going to ask her to go over the day, but I'm going to work on it. I have not worked on the banners at all. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is it's an exercise, this little figure 8 exercise that I do with horses, helping them do this stuff. And so what normally happens when a horse looks at something like this and gets scared, they want to turn and leave. So they think over there would be more fun than over here. And what the rider tends to do is get a hold of them, pull in this rein, kick with this foot and this foot, and point them at it and try to get them to stay here. And they apply all the pressure while the horse is looking in the place they want it to look. The horse thinks, I bet if I'd feel more comfortable if I ran off over there, and they don't allow them to run off over there. And it'd be kind of like a horse that wants to go to the gate, and you don't let them go to the gate, and you keep all the pressure on them over here to keep them away from the gate. Pretty soon the gate becomes more attractive, okay? So that over there becomes more attractive if I don't let her leave this spot. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to ask her to walk, and when she points this way, I'm going to pick up the trot, and I'm going to try to circle like this, arc, and right here I'm going to sit. And she doesn't take it, she leaves, I'm going to leave with her. I'm going to trot an arc like this, and right here I'm going to sit. Oh, and now see, what I'm going to do here is draw a line that's parallel to those banners. And now that line can be anywhere. It doesn't matter where that line is. I'll see if I can walk you through this. If she runs away from it, I'm going to pick up a trot and trot her around. And so those banners are in her left eye right now. As they change sides and they come in her right eye, right there, I'm going to sit and allow her or offer her a place to rest. Okay? But if she keeps going, once she gets to here, which is parallel to those banners, or past it, we're going to pick up a trot. I'm going to start actively riding again. So I'm actively riding, actively riding, actively riding, actively riding, actively riding, actively riding. I'm sitting. And if she stops there, I'm going to stay sitting. If she continues around here, I'm going to actively ride again. And so I'm going to keep offering her a resting spot because I think she's got it enough now to where she completely understands how to find that resting spot. This wouldn't have worked the first day because she doesn't trust us. She didn't trust people at all. So what I might actually do is start out, I'm going to ride her, so a minute ago, sorry, I'm getting rambling here. A minute ago when she ended up over there, she ended up over there because she ended up over there, okay? What I'm actually going to do right now is I'm choosing to work on these banners. Okay, I'm going to work on these banners, and so I'm going to point her directly towards the banners. And this is the whole choose where you work, choose where you rest. So I'm walking her directly towards the banners, okay? And right here she leaves the banners, and so right here we're going to pick up a trot, we're going to work. And I'm going to turn back here, and right here I'm going to rest. And she can either take that rest, or if she keeps going like that, I'm going to choose to work. And I'm going to trot around here, and right here I'm going to rest. And if she continues going here, I'm going to say, okay, we can go over here, and right here I'm going to rest. And you might notice we're getting closer and closer. I started there. She's now moved, 20 feet, probably 6 meters for you metric people. Closer. And right then she just went, and she had a sigh. So what I'm going to do right now is just sit here and rub on it. And this is going to be the start of me asking her to go places. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to use the choose where you work, choose where you rest principle to encourage her to find this spot over here. And I'm going to do it, I'm not going to force her over there. And what she's going to find out is the thing that she was concerned about in the first place, I helped her through that experience and it wasn't a bad thing. And she's going to get, excuse me, more trust. And after a while, she will get to where, and I don't mean a while today, I mean in months, she'll get to where if she looks at something and I turn loose of her, and she goes to leave and I pick up a trot, she'll go, okay, if you say it's okay, it must be okay, and they'll trot up to it and almost stick their nose on it. Okay, so right now she's looking over here and she's thinking over here, so I'm going to ask her to walk and see where she walks to. She went where her thoughts were, so we're going to pick up a trot. I'll just bend her around here, and right here I'm going to sit and let her relax, and she leaves. Good. I'm going to pick up a trot. Now, because of all the work I've done with her, and she leaves. Because of all the work I've done with her, she kind of understands that she has choices. So you can see how that's actually diametrically opposite what was happening to her with scary objects. Before, the pressure was coming off when she ran away from the scary object and coming on when she pointed towards it. In this case, the pressure's coming on when she goes away from it and coming off when she goes towards it. And she started to rest. She'd stop and rest, by the banners, and then she started to rest closer and closer to the banners. When she says, oh, that bothers me, I think she's been ridden through it instead of having, being told that, hey, we understand you're concerned about that. And so now she's looking away. So I'm just going to ask her, oh, did you see that? That was awesome. She was looking away, and I said, I'm going to ask her to go. And I squeezed my legs a bit, and what did her head do? It straightened up this way. It didn't get, if she'd been really thinking over there, her feet would have followed her head right then. Very cool. So right now she's looking at the banners. I'm going to ask for a step. There we go. There's our first step. There's our first, her sniffing that banner right there, and I didn't ask for it. So remember I said... So the next time Nicole came back to ride, we worked on the banners, and it didn't take very long before the mare went over to it and would stand by the banners in a relaxed manner. So after I'd had the mare for about 5 weeks, I figured it was time for her to go home and for Nicole to go over through the whole process at her place, with her doing all the work. And so I took her up there and I helped Nicole with her the first day that we got there. We went through everything from the beginning, and we actually got up to the part where we were going to work on the jumping, which I didn't video because I don't know anything about jumping. But after we did some work with the jumping, I realized the mare knows about jumping. It's not the jumping that's the problem, it's all the other stuff. So after we'd done some work and I realized it was probably valuable if I videoed it, I got the camera out, and we actually, right now here what I do is I talk about what we'd just done, and then we recreate the scenario and do it all over again. But so let's recap this whole thing. You said she's always been quite good with the show jumping, it's just the cross country stuff. But then earlier on I had you go to that little cross rail there on the loose rein, and she kind of ducked around it. So I said, do you ever jump her on a loose rein? You said, no, not really. And so then I said, oh, go ahead and just take a hold of her and jump it. And she jumped it okay, but you had to manage her just a little bit. Right. And it's a cross rail that's this high, so it's not that big a deal. So if you're going to manage her a little bit there, I imagine as things get bigger or spookier, you've got more managing to do. And so then I set it up. I said, okay, there's another cross rail over here. What we'll do is we'll see if you can trot over it and see what happens. And if she ducks off, we're going to let her duck off and go with her to the place that she's wanting to go, that space she moves into, and just do some work there. We worked on your contact there. We need to do that anyway. So this is the same as, and let me finish the story. So we did that a few times, and then we did that once for a while, and then she started trying to make, because you made that circle small, it's hard work, and she tried to make that circle bigger, which included the line to your jump. Okay, she moved off to the side. She made that bigger to include the line to your jump. So then I said, okay, when she comes around here, try it again. You let go, she ducked off again. How many times she ducked off? Twice or 3 times? 3 times. Then the 4th time, we came around, we lined her up with it, and she pricked her ears and she took you to the jump, didn't she? And she never takes you to the jump, does she? So she took you to the jump for the first time ever. And what it was the space that she used to think would be a good place to move into was no longer a place she wanted to move into. And Nicole, I could tell by the look on her face that she was kind of like, this totally goes against everything we've ever been taught about jumping. And I know nothing about jumping, but if you think about the notion of horses spooking at the spooky end of the arena over here, most people will tell you, don't let them turn away from it, make them face it. Right. Okay, that mentality. And how have we got her to the spooky end of the arena? By letting her run away from it and run to the place where she'd like to be, doing the work there, which makes this place a better option for her, and pretty soon she chooses it and she's quite happy with it. So I don't know anything about jumping, but the same, I think the mentality about you can't let her go away from the spooky object, is, for me, it's similar to don't let him turn away from the jump. Now, I know nothing about jumping, but the fact that she took you to a jump and she never takes you to jumps might reflect something. So we've just set this up. I'm going to actually man the camera here in a second. So this jump behind Nicole here is called a what? A coop. Okay. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to try to jump this jump on a loose rein. Okay. And I don't mean on the buckle loose rein, but I don't want you to hold her straight. I want you to kind of just guide her over there. But if you feel her wanting to leave, leave with her. Okay. Go to wherever she wants to go to, and we're just going to do some work there. Now, the work you're doing before was you were going like inside bend, outside bend, inside bend, outside bend, which is hard work for them. And you're going to do that, and what we found before was she made that circle bigger from the place that you started. So if you started here, and that circle's not very big, but as it gets bigger, and if you were trotting to the right here, as it gets bigger, so you want to make sure you turn her so that the side, you know, on one side of it she's facing the jump. If you went to the left, she went over here and you went to the left, when she made it bigger here, you'd be facing away from the jump. So you want to go to the right there. And as it gets bigger and this jump lines up, just turn loose. If she ducks off over there, do it again. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to take the place she's attracted to, there, or over there, we're trying to move it over there. And so where she's no longer thinking there or there, she's thinking there. And I think that's what, and she knows how to do that now. Like we've seen with this mare from the very beginning. She's very, very smart at finding that place. So this is the principle of create a tool before you use a tool. This wouldn't have worked the first day because she didn't really have the ability to come down. You know, she was worried about everything, all that sort of stuff. So there's been a lot of work. This is going to be quite simple, but there's been a lot of work getting to this point. Basically, all the tools we need are in place. We're just going to use them. So go ahead and go for a trot. I'm going to go man the camera. Okay, so here comes Nicole. We're pointing towards the jump. She's looking towards the jump. Ducks off. Very good. So just turn. So what you've got to make sure you don't do when you do this, Nicole knows this, is react aggressively over here. Like you're not going to act like you're a bad horse. You want to come over here. I'm going to make you do this. It's kind of like, hey, I need to work on my contact anyway. So just keep going around there, Nicole. Maybe next time around. So you really got to keep kind of a Zen mentality about this. Now we're just going to point her back towards the jump and she ducks off. Very good. If you can, catch that circle quite early so that she's relatively close to the jump. So we're just going to trot around here, work on our contact, inside bend, outside bend. Keep good. And right about here we're going to release. And she releases over the jump. Now you might notice she got a little bit of a rush of blood right there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let this mare cruise around. Okay, we're not going to do anything to her, just going to let her cruise around and get rid of that anxiety. We're going to leave her alone. Basically, she jumped the jump, we're going to leave her alone. We're not going to, there we go, perfect. So does that make sense, Nicole? When she jumps the jump, we're going to leave her alone. We want her to think that the release is on the other side of the jump. There you go, she's dragging you back over there. And head off over there again, perfect. Now she has a bit of a thingamajigger. We just let it go. So this being able to come back down after a jump and not carry any emotion about the jump is something we need to work on too. And she broke to a trot there again. Now just keep trotting and try the jump again. Just make a pattern out of it. She'll start to figure out where the hard work occurs and where the easy work occurs. And she just trots over the jump again. And see, she's a lot more relaxed on the other side of that jump. See, she's just cruising around here. She didn't have that emotion going over the jump that time. Sorry, my camera skills aren't as good as other people who might man this camera. I'm usually in front of it, not behind it. How'd that feel? Did she take you to it? Yep. Now do it again. And really try to give her the option if you can. Very nice. And then once again, when we come over it, she got a little bit more zoom in her thing right now, but then she looks like she's relaxing right there. Breaks to a trot. So as of today, that mare's been home with Nicole for about a month and everything's going splendidly. I spoke to Nicole this morning and she said the mare's going really, really well. If you want to recap the whole thing, first we taught the mare to find true relaxation. Then we taught her how to find her a resting place, which was not where she thought it would be. And in doing that, we taught her how to trust us. Then we took that resting place and we placed it in places we wanted her to be. And eventually when we got to the jumping, we placed that happy place on the other side of the jump. So that was using the choose where you work, choose where you rest principle. But once she would go over the jump, like you just saw right then, we had to make sure that she could still find that true relaxation. And I really think those two principles right there were probably the biggest part of getting this mare from how she had been to how she is now. So I really hope you've enjoyed these last couple of episodes as much as I have. She was a pleasure to work with, and what a wonderful horse. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Principles of Training.